you so much for being here. This year. It's so wonderful. Thank you. Right, he's going to go say, I'm going to say hello to you.
Jenny.
Jenny, I'm Jenny. Nice to meet you.
How are you? Good to meet you, Miguel.
Jenny.
Good to meet you. What do you teach?
I teach third grade.
Awesome. How are you? Mark. Good to meet you, Mark. Good to meet you.
Good morning. My name's Nate.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. So glad to welcome you here. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, I'm Nancy. I'm the Vice Mayor. Jenny, I'm so excited to meet you.
Sarah Lindsay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for doing this. So nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
Is there someone else?
I guess maybe we should do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I thought if we had a second when we walked in.
Yeah, we will.
So, yeah, afterwards.
Definitely.
Okay. Wonderful.
Whenever you're ready. Yeah, you
Really?
kick us off.
Are you
Yeah,
ready?
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is delightful to see so many members of our community here today to welcome the secretaries with myself and engage in dialogue about our very critical topics of education and labor initiatives, our workforce. It's a beautiful day, and I really want to do justice to the introduction, so I'm going to read a few words, if you don't mind. I first want to introduce Dr. Miguel, Cardona, the U.S. Secretary of Education. Dr. Cardona's journey, and he's had one, is rooted in his bicultural upbringing and his Puerto Rican heritage. He drives an unwavering commitment to equitable education. Under his leadership, efforts to safely reopen our schools and distribute vital federal education funding have been transformative, really. And I know we've all experienced those. Additionally, we're honored here today to have Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su.
Woo! Clap for her.
She is known as a champion of workers' rights, civil rights, and she's left an indelible mark on the labor enforcement movement.
Very nice.
Her pioneering strategies, blending impactful litigation, and how is litigation impactful, with community organizing and multicultural and multilingual campaigns, have made an indelible mark on our country.
Very nice.
She's also empowered workers and combated wage theft. Secretary Su brings unparalleled expertise and dedication to her role as acting secretary. And together, Dr. Cardona and Secretary Su have helped to implement the Good Jobs initiative, which is focused on providing critical information to workers, employers, and governments as they work to improve job quality and create access to good jobs. We're so privileged to have you. And those jobs, importantly, free from discrimination, free from harassment, critical bywords. I'm very excited to hear about their work, and I would be remiss if I didn't introduce my own self. I'm Naomi Dewar, and I'm the Vice Mayor of the City of Reno on behalf of our mayor, who I know you both have met, who is the head of the Conference of Mayors at this time. And I know in that capacity she's had an opportunity to meet you and to work with you and to help further your initiatives. And before I turn the floor over to you, I also want to introduce one of my colleagues, and that is Beth Smith. Beth, like I, am an elected official. She is president of our Washoe County Board of Trustees. She does a magnificent job in that role. We couldn't be happier to have her. I got to give you a So I'm so excited to hear about the work that this administration has done and to participate in that dialogue, which is very important to us. We have many educators here today, and we have many members of our labor movement in our region. They keep us on the straight and narrow. They educate us about the important issues. We don't know everything as elected officials. We're learning all the time. And so it's with great pleasure that I turn over the floor to you, Dr. Cardona.
Thank you very
for
much.
Being here.
Thank you for that. That was nice. I really appreciate that wonderful introduction, and really having a chance to travel with a friend and colleague and Acting Secretary Su is really a joy. And it's by design that our work, our agencies' work overlap a lot. That's not like a coincidence. The president made it very clear early on that we need to work together. We need to remove silos. If we expect that in communities and states, we need to remove silos. And today we have the pleasure of traveling together and listening. You know, these conversations are really about all of you. So forget that there are cameras and that you're going to be on the news later. Let's just have a conversation. Like we're sitting in a teacher's lounge. Like we're sitting in a teacher's lounge and just hanging out. But I really want to just, you know, you're the one, we want to hear from you, man. This visit is about you, not us. And I want to thank not only Acting Secretary Sue, but Vice Mayor, thank you for the introduction and for all the work you're doing. Board President Beth Smith, thank you. You and Kaylin, you know, that contract and what you're doing really reflects what we want to see across the country. Lifting the profession, fighting for competitive salaries, and I just want to acknowledge that leadership. Thank you. Deputy State Superintendent Henry Dixon, thank you for being here, for all the work you do, and the folks that we're going to be hearing from, the educators, thank you for your work. You know, I've been in education for 25 years, and I remember starting as a fourth grade teacher feeling like I have to fight for this profession. And now I'm Secretary of Education 25 years later, and I still feel like we have to fight for this profession. We know teachers on average make 24% less than people with similar degrees across the country. And oftentimes educators, I see paraeducators, there's so many people that make up this family of educators, often feel like they can't advocate for competitive salary or else they're not for the kids. That's baloney. That's baloney. This martyrdom that we want teachers to be in, and they have to drive Ubers on the weekend or bartend to make ends meet, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. We have to lift the profession, and that means the ABCs, right? Agency for educators, better working conditions, competitive salary. If we throw a D in there, diversity too, right? We have to do better, and you're doing it. And we're working really hard to try to find ways to support that, whether that's the $50 million in grants that we're putting out there to really lift pipeline programs, grow your own programs, or apprenticeship programs, which we're really excited about. You know, we need to think outside the box if we're going to address this potential shortage in educators, right? And doing more of the same is not going to get us different results. So 3 years ago when we started in this administration, there were 0 states that had teacher apprenticeships. 0. We're up to 34 states now that have teacher apprenticeships, thanks to the leadership of Acting Secretary Sue and her team and our collaboration. 34 states now pay student teachers for student teaching. Name another profession where you work for free for 4 months. And then we want to fill these positions? Well, we got to change the game a bit. And that's what we're here to celebrate, that we're able to do that here. I really want to give a shout out to Nevada and the Washoe County. The 20% raise over 2 years is amazing. It's amazing, it's a model. That's why we're here to make sure that we're lifting that up for all educators, not just teachers. All educators, we have to raise the bar. We use the term raising the bar a lot at the Department of Education, and you're doing that here. I want to acknowledge that. And I recognize it's a local effort and it's a state effort too, right? And there's a federal component, but I want to acknowledge the state and local leadership that made it possible and say, we're here because we want to celebrate success and we want to hear from you what's working, what you would like to see across the country, what can we replicate, how can we continue to work together to make sure we're lifting what I consider to be the best profession in making sure people have good jobs, good opportunities. So with that, I want to turn it over to a colleague who, I've had the pleasure of traveling with her recently and just sitting, the passion that she has for this work and for really lifting up good jobs across, it's contagious. She has this good jobs initiative. I'm not going to steal her thunder, but every other agency is signing up. We're like lining up to sign up with her because she has that energy, she gets it, and it's really my pleasure to introduce at this time Acting Secretary Julie Sue.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
of course.
much. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having us here. I feel like this is probably a good sign that I was going to say pretty much exactly what Secretary Cardona just said. So let me try to be brief about that. Thank you so much for having us here, Vice Mayor. Thank you so much, Deputy Superintendent, to both President Smith and President Evans. Congratulations on what you have done, and as Secretary Cardona said, we're really here to honor that and to talk about this moment that we are in when these historic contracts are actually coming to pass. I think you know that there is no better champion for this entire system. Well, I guess I was going to say, there are two champions: President Biden himself and Secretary Cardona, who has spent literally his entire career in education, making it better, serving young people and creating, and shaping the minds of the future. And now I get to see him work up close, and he lives and breathes his passion, his vision for the work, and is just like a tremendous human being to be around. And also to your team, who is a reflection of you. Like your team has been amazing to work with as well. So as our boss likes to say, a good job is about more than a paycheck, right? A good job brings dignity and respect. It's about purpose and passion. It's about being able to, look your kids in the eye and say, it's going to be okay, and mean it. And so this is a president who is deeply committed to making sure that every single person who wants a good job in this country can get a good job. And that's part of his investing in America as his agenda. It's about making sure that we are investing in fixing the roads and bridges of this country, making sure that every family that turns on the faucet gets clean drinking water, making sure that every community has access to high-speed, reliable internet. We certainly saw during COVID, right, just how painful the inequities are when people don't have that. And he also sees all those investments as opportunities to create good jobs in the communities that need them the most. And so it's truly, I just want us to pause and think about what an unprecedented time it is that those kinds of investments are happening. And they're not going to change things overnight, but they are going to rebuild this country in ways that I don't think anybody has imagined for a long time because of his leadership and his vision. And we are just very proud to be part of building that. You hopefully are seeing it right here in this community, right in Northern Nevada, when it comes to batteries and the revitalization of an industry that is going to allow us to make things here in the United States, make them with American talent, make them in good jobs, including in good union jobs, and help to power our electric vehicle future. So that's part of an overall vision that I wanted to just bring here to all of you and make sure that you see how the work that you are doing, the conversation we're having, fits into all of that. The other thing is, let's just talk for one moment about education jobs. I just will echo everything that Secretary Cardona said about that, and say that we are here to honor the historic contract that you all reached. And this is very much, President Biden has pledged to be, and we are working to be, the most pro-worker, pro-union president in history. And so we are proud of these kinds of outcomes, which make sure that workers get a fair share, that workers are doing well when you do the important work of educating our young people. And I think what you accomplish here is also part of a broader context, or a broader movement, right? We're seeing workers from Hollywood to hospitality to healthcare making demands at the bargaining table, auto workers, delivery drivers, and really not only lifting their own wages, but lifting wages throughout industries and throughout sectors. And we think that's a good thing. You've heard the president say teachers deserve to be paid more. You've heard our education secretary say it. And so that happens in large part because of bargaining and effective partnerships where districts also realize that the best thing they can do to recruit and retain and value your workforce is to do that. So wanted to really thank you for all of that. The other thing is that we know that good jobs don't happen by accident. They happen because people are intentional about it. And the Department of Education, and we are very proud to partner with and support Secretary Cardona's leadership, has been very intentional about it. So they've adopted good jobs principles that recognize that in this sector, like with any other, there needs to be good jobs, right? That, to his point, sometimes people there's almost this implied thing. Sometimes it's explicit that if you do something because you're passionate about it, right? You do it because it's a calling. Somehow, then you have to like sacrifice.
Right.
You're supposed to sacrifice to do it. No, not on our watch. Not in this administration. You can both pursue a life of passion and be treated with a dignity and respect, and get the wages and working conditions, including things like predictable schedules and compensation for preparation time and collaboration time. All of which are things that happen at the bargaining table and are part of the Department of Education's Good Jobs principles. So we are very, very proud of all of that. Just two other quick things is like thinking about the future workforce in education. We're really excited to hear and talk to you about what you're seeing and what you're doing. We want to make sure that there is a equitable, available pathway into this profession where people don't have to sacrifice, work without pay, where the pathway to get there is long and winding. We want to make sure that we are creating apprenticeship programs where people earn while they learn, right? And recognizing how do we make sure that everybody who does this job gets the support that they need, get the training that they need, and really having good, strong pathways into the job is something that we're working very hard on. And then, making sure that we recognize that teaching is a very tough profession. And so in order to retain and, have the workforce that we need to focus on the quality of those jobs. So thank you for having us here. Thank you for sharing what you are going to share. Very, very excited to hear from you all. And just know that President Biden and this whole administration has your back every single day.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah. So this is the part where we get to hear from you. I'll ask some questions, but I'd love to hear from everyone. I certainly want to start with our educators. I know Jenny, Marvin, and Sarah. Before I do that, you're all public servants. So the public service loan forgiveness, you're eligible for it. So check it out. If you haven't signed up for it, sign up for it. And it's in something that's really important at the state level, at the district level, at the mayor level. People that work in the city, they're eligible for public service loan forgiveness. That was one of the first things that the president pushed us to fix. It's fixed. Take advantage of it for the public servants. So again, forget the cameras. We're like in the teacher's lounge, right? You're just hanging out, talking. The only difference is that you're going to have more than 20 minutes because I know you eat quickly and then you got to go pick up the kids, right? So I'd like to start with you, Jenny. Just tell us a little bit about who Jenny is, what makes Jenny tick, what do you love about your profession, and then what does it mean to you to have that salary increase? What does that mean for you? And then we'll go to you right after Marvin, and then right over here to Sarah.
Okay, so I'm Jenny. I've been teaching almost 14 years now. I'm an elementary school teacher, so I started out teaching kindergarten, and then now I teach 3rd grade. But I've taught everything from pre-K to 5th grade. I really just love the profession. I love working with kids. Recently, well, I guess 2 years ago, I joined the Washoe County Association board. So I'm on the board as elementary education director. And we've been just working really hard on getting the profession elevated to where it needs to be. I've seen a lot of friends that were really good teachers leave the profession because they could make more money somewhere else, or they didn't feel valued, or their time with their family was so disrupted by all of the other responsibilities of being a teacher that they decided it wasn't worth being in the profession anymore. When one of my best friends left the profession, that's kind of when I joined the board, because I felt like we need to do something. We're losing these good veteran teachers, and the profession is not gaining any more teachers at the rate that we need. So it was just creating.
You said, I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, so I want to do something about it. So we joined the board. The 20% raise that we were able to get was amazing. It's a great start, I like to say, because that kind of just gave us the push to be where we need to be through inflation and all of those things. But I feel still, as someone who I have 2 master's diplomas. I have all these things, but I still don't get the pay amount that I think we should at that level. We continue our education, we continue to make our craft better, but we don't see the change in salary like other professions do.
Well, congratulations on the success here, getting that start and really sending the message that we can negotiate and get a 20% increase over 2 years. That's pretty impressive. Thank you. What does it mean for you, Marvin? Well, tell us about Marvin first. Tell us about Marvin first.
So my name is Marvin Bell, and I am a third grade teacher at Greenbrae Elementary School here in Sparks. I teach third grade. So I was actually a paraprofessional before I became a teacher. I was a special education aide, I was a special education sub, I worked in the after-school program, then I was the team-up coordinator, and then eventually I said, why don't I just become a teacher?
Yeah.
It was a hectic journey, but it was one that was amazing. I love waking up every day and servicing my students in my community. I also take into account every day that I am an African-American male, and there's not a lot of us in the field of education. Well, at least not in northern Nevada. So it's really cool when I hear parents and students and they come up to me and they'll either say, this is the first time that I've seen a black teacher, I've never had a black teacher, or that I'm so proud that my son or daughter gets to have an African-American teacher. So that's really cool. I'm not gonna lie, I got in sort of just at the right time when we got the 20% raise. So it was just I guess it was part of God's divine plan. Right. So, but working in education, I have had those really hard conversations with a bunch of my teachers' friends who they didn't know how they were going to make ends meet. They didn't know how they were going to put food on the table. They were working doing Uber or bartending.
Right.
And you'll hear that a lot of the time, especially here, is it's never the kids. We love the kids, but in order to make a better life for ourselves, teaching, at least it has not been a sustainable job here and across the country. And when you think about it, going off of Jenny's point, I also have a master's degree. I also feel like I'm not making what I should be making because I have friends in other professions who just have a bachelor's degree and they make significantly more than I do. A lot of times they'll say in education it's about, the outcome, not the income. And I don't think that's very fair. It should be about.
Shouldn't have to be a choice.
It should not have to be a choice. And if, we're having an honest conversation, we are educating the next generation of presidents, doctors, lawyers, police officers, firemen, you name the career, we are doing it. And our pay should reflect that. And also we should be respected as such as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well said, Marvin. I think, clap for Marvin. Let's clap for Marvin. Come on. I had an interview earlier today with this gentleman over here, and I said, public education is under attack. There are those who are fighting to defend public education. There's some who are fighting to destroy public education through vouchers or whatever, taking money from our already underfunded system to pay for private tuitions. But you say you got in at the right time. I would argue you did time. You did time working in other things. So I'm glad that you were able to benefit from this. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to acknowledge what you said too about representation and the importance of it. When we talk about pathways and intentionality about good jobs, also being intentional about recruitment and making a profession reflect the people that we serve is so important. And I just I remember learning about this some time ago, and it always stuck with me that a black child who has a black teacher by third grade is vastly more likely to have a whole bunch of outcomes, right, including going to college. And so I just, thank all of you for the ways that you represent.
Awesome. Thank you. How are you, Sarah?
I'm good.
Good. Tell us about Sarah.
My name is Sarah Lucy, and I'm an admin assistant here at Greenbrae Elementary School here in Sparks, Nevada. And I just want to say I'm very excited to be here today. I often tell myself that I'm only 24. And then I look at what it means to me today. And I'm sitting at a table having a conversation with people who share the same ideals as me. And so it's an incredible privilege to be here today. I started my journey in Washoe County School District answering the all hands on deck call during COVID. So I graduated with my bachelor's degree in human development, and then I started as a computer teacher at Grace Warner. And midway through the year, we had a first grade teacher leave unexpectedly, and so I answered another all hands on deck call, and I was a long-term sub in first grade. And then our secretary left unexpectedly the next year. And so I answered another call with my administration to be partnered with her to help manage our school. And so that has started my journey as a paraprofessional here in Washoe County. And I would say that my passion for being here today is to inspire young educators. We need young people to be passionate about this profession and go into it. And so I'm here to represent that demographic of people and show that you can really accomplish anything you want. I've been a million different things, and I'm sitting here today. I also had the opportunity to be a part of the classified bargaining unit for Washoe County School District, and we were the first bargaining unit to settle for the 20% raise. So we had this North Star goal, right? And I think with the collaboration of Washoe County School District, we really got there. But I was reminded yesterday of how far we still need to go. And so with the 20% raise, I was able to get engaged. I recently got engaged in December. And
So that contract was really important to you. You gotta do it.
It reminded me of how many opportunities I felt like I could not reach because of how much I was making. And so to also take that victory and sit in that moment and then use it as this fire to do something more, right? And so I'm just super passionate to be here today, and I'm very grateful.
awesome.
And I'm grateful for the collaboration with Washoe County School District and having mentors like Kaylin Evans to kind of get me where I am today.
That's
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You know, you remind me, the energy you bring, and you're a great reminder that we need to translate these policies into people. Your story represents some of the policies, right? And sometimes in DC we get lost in the numbers and throwing out billions here, doing this there. These are people whose lives are connected to it. So what a great reminder. I've never had 3.5 years doing this, no one's ever say, because of this, I was able to get engaged. That's a new one. I like that one. but it just is a good reminder for us, man, that every policy, everything that we're pushing for has a person and a story behind it. And Sarah's, I'll remember yours. And I'm going to turn it over to, I think Secretary Sue in a second, but I want to turn first to Beth and then Kaylin. Like, what did, you know, having sat on both sides of the table with negotiations as a vice president of my union, and then on the board side when I was in a district leader, I recognize the challenge to get little steps, especially when 80-90% of your budget is human capital, right? How did you prioritize this? How did you get to this? Could you talk a little bit about that process? And I'm thinking about this as, you know, there are other board chairs across the country that need to hear how you took this and prioritized it. And then Kaylin, how did you work with the district to get to where you are? Beth?
I appreciate that. I'd like to start off with something that Marvin said, because that's the North Star. We touch the future of America through public education. We serve kids and their families, and our greatest asset is our staff. It's our team. So if you keep that in mind, then you do great things. And I look forward to hearing what President Evans says. But it's a partnership. When you stand together and when you work together, you amplify the power of your advocacy. And we actually met 4 years ago. So the origin story of this was when my older son started kindergarten, he was in class with 45 kids.
Wow.
And when I learned how much the two teachers were making in that class, I couldn't believe that this is what the state of affairs was with labor and with education. But instead of what a lot of people do, which is just to criticize and throw your hands up, I was lucky enough to meet people that said, what can we be doing? We own our public education system, and we own the trajectory that it's on. And so President Evans had just started a grassroots organization here, and then I was a parent. And then we both committed to each other that we would do everything that we could to advance high-quality public education. And then 4 years later, that ended up being
That's awesome.
him being the president of the Educators Association and me being the president of the board. But I'm just one voice. And a majority of our board absolutely believes in the power with model and